You may all have your seats, please. So with the permission of our Honorable Chief Guest of the day, we would like to commence with the inauguration ceremony. Thank you so much, sir. And I would like to commence this inauguration ceremony with a very wonderful quote by none other than Steve Jobs, who said that technology by itself doesn't make leaders. Technology only amplifies true leadership. A very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am Habeeb Kaur. Welcome you all to the inauguration ceremony of Tech Invent 2022. A huge round of applause for this inauguration ceremony. Tech Invent is the annual technical festival of Chandigarh University that brings together the minds from engineering, sciences, management, literature, and humanities with the motto of promoting innovation in all spheres of life. In the last edition, that is in the Tech Invent 2021, more than 2 lakh participation from 168 plus nations and 25 plus international institutions. The participants participated in this Tech Invent, and not only this, they also created more than 13 million social media inspirations, reaching out to the 11 million plus individuals. And this year, aligned with the vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat, Tech Invent 2022, Asia's largest technical festival, focuses on strengthening the 5 pillars of economy, infrastructure, system, vibrant demography, and demand. And during this Tech Invent, participants will get the golden chance to imagine, innovate, and initiate through their various competitions, workshops, talk series, summits, and a golden opportunity to win exciting prizes. Along with that, the biggest Tech Invent is an opportunity for the participants to meet the leaders in technology for immersive learning and to build a professional network. And ladies and gentlemen, for this inauguration ceremony of Tech Invent 2022, we have been joined by a very versatile and dynamic personality and the chief guest of the day, Architect Habeeb Khanji, President, Council of Architecture. Can we have a huge round of applause for sir? We are so honored that he is here with us. We also have been joined by Professor Dr. Satbir Singh Sehgal, Pro Vice Chancellor, Chandigarh University. Can we have a huge round of applause for them as well? We also have with us Professor Dr. R.M. Bhagat, Senior Executive Director, Sciences. I request all of you to kindly give a huge round of applause for our honorable dignitaries. We have with us Dr. Anurag Verma, Executive Director, Liberal Arts. Dr. Hardeep Singh Anant, Executive Director, Management. A huge round of applause for sir. And a huge round of applause for all the executive directors, dean directors, head of the departments, and for all the students and the participants present here. A huge round of applause for all of you for being here, being part of the inauguration ceremony. So commencing with the inauguration ceremony of the Tech Invent 2022, let's seek the blessings of Ma Saraswati, the goddess of prosperity, knowledge, and wisdom. So for the lamp lighting ceremony, I would like to request our honorable chief guest of the day, Architect Habeeb Khanji, to kindly come forward along with our honorable dignitaries to kindly lighten the lamp. And I also would like to invite the students who are the organizers and the students who will be executing the event to kindly join us. Can we have 2 of the students with us on the stage? A huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, everyone. So with this, it is my great privilege to welcome the wings of inspiration, knowledge, and pillar of strength, Professor Dr. Satbir Singh Sehgal, Pro Vice Chancellor, Chandigarh University, for the welcome address. Please welcome him with a huge round of applause.
Good morning to all. Respected architect Habeeb Khanji, the President Council of Architecture, the dignitaries on the dais, off the dais, my dear colleagues, and the future of the nation, our students. It's a true pleasure for me to present the welcome note for the launch ceremony of the Asia's biggest technical fest, Tech Invent 2022. And the most important center for us, the Center of Excellence, Indian Knowledge Systems at Chandigarh University. I'm grateful to you, sir, that in spite of your busy schedule, you have taken time for the launch of these two important events. Architect Habeeb Khanji, the President of Council of Architecture, is an eminent architect, academician, as well as a great motivator. Mr. Khan has contributed substantially to the development of upgrading the role of Council of Architecture and the architecture profession to its much needed attention and the relevance in today's time. His firm, Samita and Habeeb Khan Architect, is known for work which derives inspiration from vernacular and traditional principles. The term contemporary vernacular was coined by him in 2009, and it has become the underlying philosophy of all their works. And it becomes a benchmark for the young architects to work in that direction. Mr. Khan was awarded the JIIA Best Interior Design Award by the Indian Institute of Architects in 1998 and IIA CAF Young Architect Award in 2000. He was also presented with the Orange City Achievement Award in 2009 and the State Level Award for Excellence in Architecture Profession and Education by the IIA Maharashtra chapter in 2011. He was the founder chairman of Triple ID Nagpur regional chapter from 1998 to 2002 and also the chairman of IISA NC. He was also the chairman of the Continuing Education Board of IIA National Council in 2012 to 14. A round of applause for Mr. Khan, please. Sir, Tech Invent is the biggest technical festival. Last year, more than 2.2 lakh students, active and passive, participated in the star events, flagship events, workshops, talk series, conclaves, and various competitions. So it's a festival not only for one domain, but it's for all the multidisciplinary activities. And especially when the India is celebrating Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, the importance of this activity and this festival is the most important. The Indian Knowledge Systems at Chandigarh University will be the center of excellence, which will be involved in multidisciplinary research for preserving, documenting, and building upon a philosophic and scientific understanding of Indian traditional systems. And we assure you, sir, the full support of the Chandigarh University to develop this important vertical for the liberal arts community. I gladly welcome all for this event. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for the welcome address. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite one of the students of our who has been the student coordinator and a huge part of the last year Tech Invent, that is Tech Invent 2021. And she is also one of the all-rounders who has been the coordinator and the anchor of many of the events of Chandigarh University. And to share her experience, please welcome Ms. Shruti. A huge round of applause for Shruti.
A very pleasant morning to one and all present here. Firstly, I would like to extend a very warm welcome to our chief guest, all the dignitaries, the faculty members, and students who have gathered here for the launch of Tech Invent 2022. For me, Tech Invent 2021 was one of a kind. And even though the events were online, it was still amazing as it could be. Last year, I got the opportunity of participating in Tech Invent as a volunteer. So I would like to thank Chandigarh University and all the faculty members for giving me a chance to be a volunteer. I was also a part of glider making competition, and students from various universities all over India took part in it, which was indeed very integral. and being a fresher, it helped me a lot in acquiring a lot of knowledge. I got a chance to coordinate and communicate with all of them. And when you gather a community of like-minded, ambitious people who have set a goal and objective, and you get to grow as a person and gain exposure and knowledge and experience like none other. I was able to excel in communication skills, technical skills, and what necessary was exposure. Exposure where I grounded myself, and I feel blessed indeed. Thank you so much and have a great day ahead.
Thank you so much, Shruti, for sharing wonderful experience and memory with us. Can we have a huge round of applause for such a young student of Chandigarh University who are making proud with their achievements and laurels. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the moment has come for which we all have gathered here for the launch of Tech Invent 2022. So I request our honorable dignitaries and our honorable chief guest of the day to kindly come forward and launch the Tech Invent 2022. We have also our students with us. Ladies and gentlemen, finally, the Tech Invent 2022 has been launched. A huge round of applause. Let's show our energy. So I also would like to request our honorable chief guest of the day to have a picture with the coordinators of the Tech Invent 2022 who will be executing and organizing this event by themselves. Ladies and gentlemen, a huge round of applause in front of you, the executors and the organizers of the Tech Invent 2022. Thank you, everyone. And now, we will have an introductory video about the Tech Invent 2022. Can we have the video, please? A huge round of applause for the launch of Tech Invent 2022. And with this, we would also like to launch the website of Tech Invent 2022. Can we launch a huge round of applause for the launch of the Tech Invent website 2022? So this is the website of Tech Invent 2022. Where the participants from all around the world and nationwide will participate in various competitions and will also witness the participation of the leaders and the technology gurus in front of us. So ladies and gentlemen, in front of you, the website of Tech Invent 2022. As today is a very special day for all of us, and we have such a great personality in front of you, we would also like to inaugurate the Center of Excellence for the Indian Knowledge System, and for that I would like to again request our honorable
We at Chandigarh
kindly come forward and launch and inaugurate the Center of Excellence for Indian Knowledge System. And for this, I also would like to invite Dr. Anurag Verma, Executive Director, Liberal Arts, to kindly give a brief introduction about this Center of Excellence.
A very good morning to all the dignitaries on the dais and all the distinguished audience in the stage, and most importantly, all the students there who are the future of this country. I'd like to briefly elucidate upon the background ideas that led to the forming up and setting up of a Center of Excellence for the Indian knowledge systems at Chandigarh University. The immense richness of the cultural achievements of the ancient Indian civilization, that is Bharat, has found expression in almost all facets of human living in this heterogeneous, pluralistic country. Fragments of its civilizational achievements in various domains of sciences, mathematics, architecture, performing arts, spiritualism, philosophy, and you name it, are variously available in some extant texts, manuscripts, and oral history. In addition, the living heritage is embodied in practitioners and exponents of diverse skills, techniques, and traditional knowledge. The richness of the traditional knowledge of India has been acknowledged by the renowned German scholar Max Müller, who has said, and I quote, "If I were asked under what sky the human mind has most fully developed some of its choicest gifts, has most deeply pondered on the greatest problems of life and has found solutions, I should point to India." Unquote. However, the lack of a comprehensive exposition of knowledge and absence of nurtured ability to grasp and assimilate traditional ideas led to the dormancy and obfuscation of traditional knowledge. Also, the disjointed sources of the rich knowledge rendered it difficult for holistic comprehension and limited its efficacy for addressing contemporary challenges. In recognition of the value of traditional knowledge, recent initiatives by the Government of India have accorded priority to the rediscovery of the deep knowledge structures that reflects in the incredibly rich, tangible, and intangible cultural heritage of India. It is widely expected that the discovery of this rich Indian knowledge system will be of immense benefit to humanity, equally, if not more than any other knowledge domain. An acknowledgement of this increasing significance can be observed in the wide acceptance and adoption of traditional knowledge of yoga, Ayurveda, Vedic philosophy, Sanskrit, Sthapatya, and many other systems of knowledge which are also being validated and increasingly accepted in the scientific community. This objective of rediscovery is being promoted extensively through governmental and institutional mechanisms by providing encouragement and support to action-backed research and evidence-based exploration and research about Indian knowledge systems. Recognizing the rich traditional knowledge embedded in the cultural heritage of India, even the National Education Policy 2020 has identified cultural awareness and its expression as amongst the major competencies which are considered important to develop cultural identity and self-esteem. The embedding of this idea into the collective mindspace of people is also reflected in Mahatma Gandhi's statement wherein he writes, and I quote, "A nation's culture resides in the hearts and the souls of its people," unquote. To thus create awareness, the new Education Policy 2020 mandates that all curriculum and pedagogy from the foundational stage onwards are to be redesigned and strongly rooted in the Indian and local context and ethos in terms of culture, traditions, heritage, and customs. Reinforcing this initiative, AICT has established a cell of Indian knowledge systems to promote these objectives, and it envisages the setting up of similar centers in colleges and universities. Chandigarh University, the youngest university to be accorded NAC A+ accreditation, envisions in its mission offering of programs and courses in consonance with national policies for nation building and meeting the global challenges. Considering the emphasis on addressing issues related to knowledge from ancient India and its contribution to modern India in the NEP 2020, Chandigarh University initiated the setting up of a Center of Excellence for Indian Knowledge Systems. It envisioned the setting up of a pivotal interdisciplinary center for documentation, research, synthesis, education, and outreach about the Indian knowledge systems. Systems, it, the systems of Northwest India for societal application and focus on its integration with contemporary development and education system. This idea found wide traction in the university, and after wide-ranging discussions and encouragement all around, we are witnessing the launch of the Center of Excellence for Indian Knowledge Systems today. The center envisages creating a digital database of cultural assets that reflect deep knowledge systems, promoting interdisciplinary research for leveraging IKS to address societal challenges, conducting workshops, seminars, conferences, public participation and engagement, and disseminating this information and reports through publications. A primary objective is also to integrate IKS with education, higher education, and to conduct academic and research programs, certifications, and training programs. With a wide horizon of expertise available in this university, the center is presently planning to address cross-disciplinary themes including human settlements and architecture, theology, philosophy and religion, performing arts, fine arts and crafts, linguistics, deep history, archaeology, cuisine, agriculture, water management systems, village sustenance, sustainable development, and social, political, and economic structures of traditional societies. To conclude, I'll close this brief introduction with a small quote from Sri Aurobindo, in which he states that, and I quote, "India of the ages is not dead, nor has she spoken her last creative word. She lives and has still something to do for herself and the people." Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for the brief introduction about the Center of Excellence for Indian Knowledge and Systems. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have a short video about this center. So, can we have the video, please?
Chandigarh University sow the seeds of knowledge and build the leaders of tomorrow. For us, education is learning to know and learning to be. In conformity with our mission of nation building and meeting global challenges, Chandigarh University will set up a Center of Excellence, Indian Knowledge System. As we celebrate Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav to commemorate 75 years of independence and the glorious history and achievements of India, the Center of Excellence strives to work towards preservation and conservation of our cultural heritage and revive the vast repository of ancient knowledge during the next 25 years' journey of Amrit Kal. The Center of Excellence will create a digital database of cultural assets, leverage IKS to address societal challenges, conduct workshops, seminars, conferences, conduct academic research program, certification and training program, disseminate IKS information through publications. Themes of engagement for Center of Excellence will be let's create a more enlightened and purposeful society.
A huge round. Yet, architecture shall be responsible to tradition, climate, Beti Padhao campaign. So, with a huge round of applause.
Question, please.
Hello, sir. Sir, very good afternoon. My name is Ayush Agnihotri. I want to ask that NEP has initialized a great reform to reduce the number of dropouts and to, facilitate the higher education. And so that reform is a multi-exit and entry system. So how do you think it will affect the architecture education in future?
See, it will liberate architectural education from the shackles of what our academic administrators are up to these days. We already have an exit system wherein an architecture student can exit after 3 years and come back and study architecture as long as you are able to finish architectural course in 9 years. So you have a flexibility of 3 to 4 years in between. But no one wants to exit after 3 years. Now this new policy entails you that you can leave after 1 year, get a certificate, leave after 2 years, get a diploma, leave after 3 years, get a degree, or leave after 5 years and get a consolidated degree. So this would mean that large number of students, an area which is, architectural education is not cheap. It's an expensive education. Plus the returns, immediate returns after graduation is also very low. So you will be able to reach a wider audience wherein economically weaker section students who cannot afford to learn architecture because of financial reasons could do this, because you could exit, work, earn, come back, and so on and on. You can have credit banking system also, which means that you have earned 60 credits, so you put it in your bank, and you come back after 5 years, 10 years, and use that bank again to complete your degree, and so on and on. So it gives you a flexibility. But what this would do for architectural education, I think this is the biggest boon that has ever happened to our country as far as architectural education is concerned, because it will become more profession oriented. There will be more involvement of professionals in architecture, because you will have the flexibility to go back to profession, industry as we call in engineering, and come back with your increased knowledge systems. And there will be, since this will be a multidisciplinary thing, it will open the gates of involvement of lot of parallel experts coming into architecture education, which is the must component for learning architecture. We are now becoming into water, we are learning in watertight compartments, wherein an institute hardly invites people from the profession, or profession doesn't want to get involved in architectural education, and so on and on. There are various reasons for it, personal reasons mostly, but that will go away with the coming in of the NEP.
Thank you, sir.
Can we move on to the next question, please? Anyone who would like to hear?
Good morning, sir, and the dignitaries. Sir, my question is that in a special context to the Indian knowledge system, how architecture education can restore the Indian heritage?
No, it's already doing that. There's so many institutions who are doing this, who are taking conservation courses, restoration courses. They're actually doing it, they're documenting it also. Many institutions are doing it. And I think, see, there are two aspects of any heritage or legacy. One is tangible, the other is intangible. So tangible heritage that we see with our own eyes is architecture and a resultant of architecture. Whether it is construction, whether it is buildings, whether it is monuments or anything that was built, settlements, habitats, whatever was built was a tangible contribution that we all are able to see. And intangible contribution is something like I was talking of, your traditions, your rituals, and your eating cuisines, and so on and all. So that is intangible heritage. But since architecture contributes a large part to the tangible heritage that we are able to see, architects are responsible for, helping conserve this, take it forward, document it, knowledge it. So institutions are already doing that. Many institutions are doing that in our country.
Thank you
in
so
fact,
much.
we at the council are also doing that, promoting documentation. We give an award for architectural documentation and heritage for the postgraduate level and undergraduate level at the council. And we get about, I'm so happy to say, we get about more than 700 entries in the category.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah, please.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Anshul. So, my question is with reference to the town planning that in this time so much encouragement is being given to the sustainable development. So, how can we preserve and promote the rich Indian architectural art and heritage with that?
Well, the question should not arise in the first place, because that is a fundamental thing that one should do. you cannot build a, a legacy for the present and the future without knowing what your past is. So I personally feel that unless you know your past, unless you know your foundation, unless you know what the first step was, you should not go to the next step, because the possibility of falling down and hurting yourself is very high. And that is what is happening in our cities these days. Town planning is a little out of place here because it's not directly related to architecture and the built environment. But the issue is, if you have seen what our cities are, I'm not talking of Chandigarh, it's a very well-planned city and well-maintained city. But if you see majority of our towns, 99% of our towns, you will find that that is not what they should be. We are not bothered about the quality of living of the citizens that are living in those cities. And that is happening because we have forgotten our link to the past. We have based our development on faulty principles, on principles which were not suitable and contextual to our country and our culture and our living heritage. If you see the earlier settlements, because you talked of planning, I'm telling you, if you see the earlier settlements, we always had an inward-looking planning, where there was a central courtyard, and the house was closed from the outside, and they were, probably common houses. I mean, if you see Mohenjo-daro, Harappa, or the earlier Vedic settlements, you will find that they were all inward-looking. When the Britishers came in, they made it outward-looking. You had a colonial bungalow, you had a veranda going around, and you had a side margin. There was no concept of a side margin or a front margin in Indian settlement, and there was a reason for it. So if we understand all that and plan our cities, the quality of life, I'm not saying we do away with margins or whatever. What I'm trying to tell you is that if we understand what our history is, there was no concept of a drawing room in our house, in our earlier houses. It's a waste, sheer waste. And especially in northern India, I don't mind saying it, especially in Punjabis, the concept, the most highly spent area is the drawing room, because you want to show off. You want to show off your wealth and whatever. I've done so many houses for a particular community where this happens. But that is unfortunate. That was not a part of our culture. That was not a part of our legacy. So this is something that we need to learn to make our cities and development in our cities much better. And when that happens, we'll be able to be contextually rooted to our culture and lifestyle. And so that is a very essential part of it. It should that all our town planning principles, urban design principles, city development principles should be based on our history and our culture.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Hello, sir. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we all are highly motivated with your presence over here. As you had completed your you are graduated in architecture, and you are a gold medalist, and you have completed your graduation from VNIT in 1987, and now you are the president at Council of Architecture. So can you please tell us your journey of success?
I don't know if it is success. I don't know. I did my graduation from VNIT and then went to the US, and I worked there for 2-3 years, did my post-graduation there, and I came back because I always wanted to come back to my country. I did a lot of projects there under an architect, of course. And I wanted to come back to my country because I feel that's where I belong to, that's where my roots are belonging to. I left a good job, came back to my country and struggled to establish my practice for 10 years. I had no money also to pay for petrol or whatever, because that is what happens to all architectural graduates. An architectural graduate today is paid less than the driver of the office. So that happens, that has been happening since our times also. I don't think a graduate architect gets paid more than 10,000-15,000 in any capacity, in any city that you join. But that is what I say, ki architectural practice and architectural field is a marathon that you are running. It's not a 100-meter dash. After 10 years, you will find that you, after your initial struggles, would be able to employ your co-colleagues in other professions by the tens and by the hundreds. So that happens, and that's a perseverance that you need, and we had that perseverance, so we could succeed. And also, there is a element of branding that happens for a consultant, specifically an architect. So if you don't concentrate on branding, you cannot succeed. You have to, see, when you go to buy a fountain pen which is costing 100 rupees or a ball pen which is costing 10 rupees, and if its cap is broken or if it has a scratch, you don't buy it. You know, because you say, no, no, give me another one. If you go to buy a car which is 10 lakhs or 15 lakhs, a small dent or a small scratch, you don't buy it. Here you're spending money in lakhs for your clients and for your customers, in crores sometimes. Why should a client buy a defective product from you or get a defective product from you which you have not been able to supervise, or you're not a technically qualified or expert to deliver that project? Why should it happen? And that happens if you brand yourself very well and if you give excellent service and excellent quality, then you are able to build yourself. So I concentrated on building that brand for myself so that my clients feel proud, or could tell in society that they have their project designed by me. So the branding has to work on, you have to work on that branding. So I worked on that branding, and then projects started coming in, and then life went on. But I was always interested in teaching, because without teaching, the gap between profession and academics in architecture is very huge. This needs to be bridged. In medical profession, this doesn't happen. It is linked to a medical college. Medical college and hospital are both interlinked, wherein these two, practicing doctors and teaching doctors, are one, while it doesn't happen in architecture. So I always wanted to contribute in academics, be a part into teaching, because that gives me energy and constantly updates myself, my knowledge systems to, so I started working, I started teaching in colleges, then I designed few architectural colleges where I became the director by default, because I was designing it, so they said, you now look after the college and so on. That's accidentally how I came into academics. And then the Chief Minister of Maharashtra told me to go to the council, because that nomination has come, because I was known to him and we were doing some work for policy making works for the government. So accidentally I came into the council, and accidentally I became the president. So I don't know if it's a choice or but my only, if you call it a success, my only qualification to that is whatever I do it with my full heart, otherwise I don't do it. If I'm doing a project, I do it otherwise I don't do it. And second, which is a secondary thing to whatever I told you just now, is to love whatever you do. If you don't love, don't do it. Because you will not be able to give your best. So these are two interlinked things. I mean, you can have a relationship with a girl or a boy, and you can leave him or her, after a few flings. That's a different issue. But when you fall in love with your work, when you fall in love with someone, then that is something different. Good morning. Namaskar, Sat Sri Akal. Dignitaries on the dais, off the dais, faculty, invited guests, ladies, gentlemen, and my dear students out there. Warm greetings from Council of Architecture. For those who don't know, Council of Architecture is a statutory regulatory authority under the Ministry of Education, Government of India, and was constituted under the Architects Act 1972. So we regulate architectural education and architectural profession. And we believe in minimum regulation and self-appraisal and self-commitment, and we're working towards it. It's a great honor for me to be present amongst all of you. Chandigarh University has been wanting to invite me since almost a year, and the dates have been getting postponed at least from March onwards because of the extremely tight schedule and the work that is happening in the ministry at the moment, and the budget session of the parliament. But I am nevertheless very pleased and happy to see the campus and the facilities and the policies that you all have, and it's been a sheer pleasure to see what you all are doing. It's also a momentous day for an architect and the profession of architecture, where architecture has been acknowledged as a branch which runs parallelly to engineering and technology. And I take it as a personal honor as well that you have invited me to launch Tech Invent and the Center of Excellence of Indian Knowledge Systems. Our profession is going through turbulent times. When I talk of our profession, it doesn't mean architecture, but all profession are going through turbulent times because of the transition from a cash-based economy to a cashless one. And then we were stuck by the pandemic and the lockdowns where the entire world economy almost came to a grinding halt. In such a scenario, the biggest hit is taken by the architectural profession and then the engineering profession. We are not an essential service anymore, nor we were any time. So with the struggles and the dilemmas of the problems and issues that we faced mentally, financially, economically, politically, we are now thankfully out of it, and we are thankful to the Almighty for getting us out safely from the pandemic. And then, if you would notice, our economy is also tottering back to normalcy. What we have realized in the last 10 years is that the future is of collaboration. Without collaborative practices, no profession can survive. I was a part of the solar decathlon recently. I am sure you must be aware of the solar decathlon, where a lot of branches of engineering, technology, architecture, and designers came together to give meaningful solutions to the future of how our built environments should be. And I was pleasantly surprised to see the immense talent that our students have in our country, which makes you feel that the future of our country is in safe hands. And I'm sure Tech Invent would also pave way to unearth the kind of talent and the kind of knowledge systems that our young students have with them. And we all get an opportunity to see, your expertise and your thought processes, and you are able to demonstrate on such platforms your talent and your thoughts. And this is the best part of the country, wherein universities like Chandigarh University and the AICT and the Council and so many other universities are coming forward to have collaborative events wherein all disciplines work together as a team, and then you come out with solutions which will probably govern the future of our country. I'm sure you must be knowing that 36 countries in the world by 2030 will be talent deficit. Most of the countries, European countries, would be -3%, while the US would be -4%. And India is the only country which will have a talent positive. We will be 13% talent positive. Now, what does this mean to us? And what does this mean to the future of our country? That means biggest exporter would be talent. And India would be the largest exporter of talent to the world. And I'm sure by 2030, this talent export would become a major avenue to lead the world. And I'm sure that is what our Prime Minister says when we say Vishwa Guru, Bharat will become a Vishwa Guru. And this is what it means. And this export of talent basically is going to happen in science, technology, engineering, and management. And so I'm sure your university is working towards it, but this is a very important aspect which our students should understand. And export of talent doesn't mean that you go abroad and settle. Export of talent means, like you were talking in the research laboratories, wherein tech transfer happens. And that tech transfer will become the major thing that will happen to our country by 2030. And to do this, we need to have quality. We need to stress on quality. And quality and excellence are the only two things that will help export your talent or transfer your tech that you will have. Without quality, without excellence, nothing will survive in the coming future. Because quality will be the focus, hallmark of everything that you do. Whether the way you live your life, whether the way you talk to people, whether the way you learn, whether the way you put that learning into knowledge, convert that learning into knowledge, and then to wisdom. And the quality will be the governing criteria for all that. And we at the Council, specifically for architecture, feel that capacity building is the most important thing that any university or any institution should do. And this capacity building has to be in the younger hands, has to be for the younger hands. We all are now senior people. Our life is almost more than half spent. I am 55, and yet I feel a disconnect with my students. The generation that you all are when you join a professional institute, the gap between the academicians, the administration of academics, administrators of academics is quite huge. There's a 3-generation gap. And in a survey that we did recently at the council, specifically of the architectural institutions, we found that there's a large amount of disconnect that is happening between the students and the faculty who teaches them. So we realized, we have various data with us, and we realized that a faculty over 50 is not accepted. I mean, I'm giving you figures from the architecture fraternity, not the entire the fraternity. But so we are encouraging younger faculty to be empowered, and we're trying to build their capacities to be in their leaders, in the leading roles. In my own institutions, I have done this experiment where all my deans, administration, design, academic, research, all are within the age of 35. And let me tell you, we have excellent results because of only one thing, and that one thing is wherein you are able to connect with your students on a one-to-one basis. And you are building capacities of your institute to lead. You know, they are the future leaders. We may have 10 years, 15 years left of our careers. But in our country, age and maturity determines your seniority and your expertise and your kind of wisdom. Not necessarily that is true in today's age. The wisdom that happens at the younger mind, at the level of the younger mind, is phenomenal, which we senior administrators fail to recognize and fail to acknowledge. So in architectural education, we are trying to do that, wherein we're trying to empower the younger faculty to become administrators of academics, architectural academics at least. And I'm sure if you experiment out here in this university, I can tell you, Saigal Sahab, you will never fail. And you will have rich rewards that you will, ultimately improve further the levels of your university. There's one more startling figures that I would tell you, which was recently pointed out in the Rajya Sabha budget meeting recently in the last session of the parliament. 78,000 students go abroad for postgraduate education from our country. In all disciplines, not only architecture, technology, but 78,000 students is not a small number. And why this is happening? And if you multiply on an average, the tuition fees are about 20 lakhs, Somewhere it is less, plus the expenditure of living and everything. If you combine, it's about average 20 lakhs, which I am taking a very conservative figure. Multiply 20 lakhs with 78,000 every year, and you will get a figure, the revenue and the rupee that is going out of our country for postgraduate education. And why is this happening? It is only because our postgraduate education in all fields, irrespective whether it is architecture, engineering, management, or any field, is lacking. We have not risen up to the quality of international levels wherein we will be, able to provide that kind of leadership and that kind of educational systems and pedagogical systems wherein our students are retained within our own institutes, within our own country. And this is something that your university can very well address because you're so you're so focused on improving the quality and giving very defined pedagogical avenues for your faculty. Now, the other thing that happens with this is research. And research, I'm very happy to see the CU University concentrating on so much of research because research is the foundation of the future. It explores your present for a better future, and research is something which is very important in architecture, engineering, and all fields. Engineering is endowed with research, but architecture is not, unfortunately, at the moment. But I'm sure institutions across the country would focus on research because research gives us a better future. At the council, we are initiating a lot of reforms. All regulatory authorities these days are stressing on reforms, bringing in transparency, bringing in more commitment, bringing in more self-appraisal. You have a NAC A+ grade. I'm sure it's a self-appraisal system which works. And we at the council are also doing the same thing, wherein 60% stress is only on quality of education and not on the quantity that you provide in terms of number of faculty or number of infrastructure or the amount of infrastructure that you provide. And the result of this would be holding hands of institutions which are lacking in quality and making them aware that we are on the same side of the table and we are not a policing authority. We are not trying to victimize you or trying to unnecessarily harass you. We are there to hold hands. It is the policy of the government at the moment, minimum regulations and self-appraisal. So wherein we want to say that you need to improve your quality, and if you want our help, we are there to help you. We are there to mentor you, and we are there to provide you whatever help we would want for you all to excel. We want all the 400 odd institutions in our country to come at a paritable and equitable level of quality, wherein we'll say every institute is good enough to provide education of a certain standard that we all want. The new education policy, I'm sure, you all students will not be a part of it, because after it is implemented, a new system will come in. And the new education policy will change the way education takes place in our country. It will be more lateral, more horizontal, and more inventive as far as the curriculum is concerned. You'll have credit banking facilities, you have credit transfers, you can take credits in various disciplines, which means ultimately that the faculty also has to be adaptive to this change. The students will be are the beneficiaries of this, but the faculty, our academicians, have to be adaptive. And I am unfortunately seeing that most of the institutes are not NEP ready. I'm not talking of CU, but most of the institutions are not NEP ready. When I say institutions, the faculty is not understanding the implications of what will happen to their life when the NEP comes in. And we are trying to teach faculty and build their capacities to be NEP ready. The council has already worked out a policy for the NEP, what would be the framework of the architectural education in the NEP, which we'll be sharing with all of you very soon as it is approved by the ministry. And the advantages that your university, I'm sure you all have worked on the NEP, is phenomenal. You will be the leaders. Universities, multidisciplinary universities under the NEP would be leaders, and you're already there because you have so many multidisciplinary activities and academic activities going on that to merge and to go with the NEP, it'll be a very easy job. It'll be a cakewalk for all of you. Standalone institutions or institutions which are not a part of any organized university will face a lot of issues and a lot of problems. And like I said, the future lies in collaboration and co-professionals. Nothing can work henceforth in isolation. And try to understand what I'm saying this, and I think Tech Invent paves a way and readies you all for collaborative efforts and collaborative practices in your future life. We unfortunately have lost pride in our knowledge systems, in our traditional knowledge systems, in the Indian knowledge systems. We take it with a scorn. We take it skeptically, our Indian knowledge systems. Unfortunately, we are trying to reinvent the wheel based on what the Westerners have told us, based on what we have learned and heard in our schools or in our education system. And we do not have confidence in our own traditional Indian systems and the knowledge systems that we have. And I'm very happy that to tell you that we have been able to convince a university to start a post-graduation course in traditional knowledge systems in Pune. And we are stressing, and whoever applies for a postgraduate course in these traditional knowledge systems, we are the first one to give them without seeing what is the infrastructure or without seeing what the number of faculty is. Only seeing what the course content is. Because we want to promote this, and I'm sure you will also come up with a post-graduation course after you establish your center of excellence. And because without dispersal and without the change of mindsets of we all Indians, wherein we say that we have pride, because that's what we have inherited. Whatever we are today as a country, as a culture, as a society, is because our foundations are based on our traditional knowledge systems, and that is something that we all should learn and understand. I have been to Virasat-e-Khalsa, the museum, and I was so moved by the history of the Sikh religion and the community. I mean, there should be so many museums like this for every community, every religion, every culture in our country. And I have been fortunate to convince Maharashtra government to have a similar museum for Banjara community, which is a large community across the country. So, I mean, it is something that you get moved seeing your history, from where you come from and where your roots are. And I'm very happy and absolutely, and when I came to know that I'm going to be a part of the inaugural team which will launch Center of Excellence, I said this is an opportunity that I need not miss, or I should not miss, because that is so close to my heart. And I'm very happy that you all have undertaken this establishment of Center of Excellence. And one thing I would like to say, and I was very happy to know that the first thing was architecture in the Center of Excellence points to be covered, because our construction techniques, our architecture is totally sidelined, and that is the most potently visible heritage and cultural legacy that we see. We have fortunately many records and many descriptions of our cultural systems, of what we call intangible culture, intangible legacy of a culture, wherein you still get married the same way you got married thousands of years ago, reciting the same shlokas and the same procedures that our forefathers did. But we don't build the way our forefathers built. And because we've lost the system, I'm sure none of you would probably remember what was Rampuri construction technique, or what was Amrovi construction technique, what was the Chola construction technique, and so on and on. So these are things which are fast disappearing from our country and from our minds. And this is what we need to restore in Center of Excellence, because there's a huge amount of built mass that existed in our country, and they had very defined policies and methodologies to build and construct this, which we have totally lost. And I'm sure Center of Excellence will work towards that, because that is something which is fast vanishing. We have our Humayun's tomb, we have our Taj Mahal, we have our temples, and we have our Gurudwaras. Everything is there, but how it was built, what was the material, what was the construction techniques, what were the different methods, what was the labor that went to it, what was the craft skills, and everything that went into building that, what was the sociological, climatological, and economical factors that went to it. This is a very important part of all construction techniques, which I am sure Center of Excellence will work on it and effectively document it. And I'm sure centers like this, Center of Excellence, would pave a very definite path in restoring our pride and making India a world guru. And I'm sure your contribution will be acknowledged by generations to come. And I'm very happy and feel honored to launch the Tech Invent 2020 and Center of Excellence IKS, Indian Knowledge Systems. And I extend my heartiest greetings and best wishes to all of you, especially to my dear students who will make this event a great success. And also I would like to thank the management management of Chandigarh University, the Chancellor, the Vice Chancellor, the Pro Vice Chancellor, and everyone in the administration for taking these initiatives in the interest of, see, what happens in an educational institution is not monetary, is not financial, is not economics, but it is something, a desire and a deep commitment to give back to the society, to work for the future of our country. And I see that happening in Chandigarh University, and I'm very glad and very happy that this is happening. And one thing I always end my talk with, one thing when there are students. We are making policies, we are taking decisions for you, we are doing everything for you. Our life is already spent. We don't get a kick out of making policies or taking decisions or being in authoritative roles. It is for the future of our country, through young students like you, that we all are working for. We are working for that you have a better future. We are working towards making India a world leader, and to make you all empowered and to feel proud that you are a citizen of India, and it is for your future that we all are working. And I'm sure institutions like CU and other universities and our government is also believing in the same thought process and same ideology. So thank you once again for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for putting a light on how the youth of India can
Coming
change
to
not
us, we fine-tuned this entire program, and it took us a few days to take it to the final shape. Even the minutes of meeting were changed many times so that the function becomes a grand success, and Dr. Sehgal was the main architect of this function. Thank you, sir. There is another person who is not there today, Dr. Priestley Shan. He is the Dean Academic Affairs who is traveling today, and he's the main person behind also meticulously planning this function. And he is the person who in the morning also called me to see that the things go very well. So we thank him in absentia. Special thanks are due to Director of Students Welfare, Dr. A.S. Kang, who is the backbone of any big event, and nothing is complete without his TESS support. Thank you, Professor Kang, for your dedicated efforts, as always, for making the events a grand success. A huge round of applause to him. Thanks are also due to the faculty, my dear students, without whose presence such events are not complete. Last but not the least, I thank all the persons from departments of administration, projects, media, and hospitality who worked behind the scenes to make the events a grand success. Thank you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for the vote of thanks. And now I would like to request our honorable dignitaries to kindly come forward for the group photograph with the students of Chandigarh University. A huge round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.